Welcome everyone. This session comes from a workshop I recently ran in London, and I have a number of requests to share it with you, with people that couldn't attend. So today I will walk you through the core idea. When pipeline grows, but revenue doesn't follow. This is something that I see constantly across B2B SaaS teams with founders through what I call the Choice Decoded. This is not a growth problem, but a choice problem. And if anything resonates or you have questions afterwards, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or on my website, karinakarn.com. So yeah, most teams or founders, right, they think they have a growth problem. They don't. They have a choice problem. So what you will learn today, first one, why SaaS growth slows even when the product is strong. Second thing, the hidden 3 gaps that breaks momentum. And lastly, how to spot them early before they affect pipeline and retention. So a bit about me. I'm Karina Karn. I'm a behavioral marketing strategist. I work for SaaS startups, companies, and founders in the UK and in the US. I'm an author of 2 books on behavioral science, on how brands get chosen. I built my own proprietary frameworks to diagnose go-to-market and conversion gaps. And I advise over 30 plus startups and founders on GTN and growth. I generated 14,000 followers in a couple of weeks and 2,300 paid acquisition clicks and 40% email open rates on outbound campaigns. So yeah, without predictability, right, there is no growth. I will explain you the go-to-market execution and revenue alignment very briefly. Basically, you may question yourself all the time why my SaaS is not converting or it's very slow, even if we have traffic and the activity is very slow, right? So there is a stage, for example, imagine that you work for a company, you are a CMO or a growth director on your own business, you as a founder, right? And you are questioning yourself and asking many questions. But seriously, the majority of those things, it's because you have a structure problem. So does it feel familiar to you? For example, where can we most efficiently reach our audience? Because you may think that it's actually there, but it's actually on another place that you didn't consider. Because sometimes you need to put on your customer's shoes so you will realize where they are hiding. You think our problem basically is not the product. It's just the prospects cannot understand us, right? Who we are and what we do and what we solve. And that's very common because for you it's your business, right? You, of course, that you understand it 100%, but you cannot assume that the market also will understand you as you do. The most common is the channels, the distribution, right? Which channels drive results and which ones are just noise? How many times you ask yourself the same question? Because making the wrong decision will you will end up using the wrong strategy with a high cost, and you could have avoided that. And then why do we get interest but not consistent pipeline? Interesting, you may have engagements, traffic on your sites, emails. However, your pipeline doesn't follow your revenue. Why is that? Right? You keep questioning yourself all the time, the same question. And lastly, very common, and there are millions of questions, obviously, that you question yourself or you as a marketing strategist. How quickly can we fix that? How many times I heard that from founders? How quickly, Karina, can you do this? And then you waste time and budget when the actual problem was at the very beginning or any of the stages that you assumed that it was right. So yeah, there are a few things that you should consider. An important fact is that 95 to 98% of website visitors leave without taking any action because they didn't understand the actual value that they're buying. People buy value, they don't buy specific features, and I keep saying that all the time. Offer value. So yeah, you're not lacking efforts. It's just that you are missing having a structure. So what I made is I spot in the last 14 years working as a marketing manager, a CMO. I spot a few things working with companies and founders at Bitsorin as well. So I decided to create a framework. Let me explain you very briefly what it is. So it's 3 stages. One is perception. What it is the actual market perception, how you are perceived on the markets. Because if you are perceived with one tag, with one label, you will end up in the same in the long run with the same label that can cost you money, time and energy, and you are not speeding up, you are not accelerating because you keep that label that is not yours. I will explain you that later. Reach is the next stage, which is what creates demands, which is the distribution strategy. And then momentum, and this is my favorite. This is loyalty, retention. That's the last and third stage on your journey. And you will be surprised how many startups struggle with this. So, and I see this all the time. We need to grow our business. That's wrong. You need to fix the first stage on your business on your second stage before growing anything. You need to be aligned with the last 3 things that I already explained you. And that's why you invest time and money growing something that is already broken when you could have avoided that, fixing and optimize the first 2 stages, and then having momentum, a healthy business. So yeah, what I create, it's a triple sale framework, and I use this mentoring, advising companies, startups, and it works very well so far. So I've been testing this, and most things, they think, as I said, they think that they have a growth problem, but they don't. They have a choice problem. And I will explain it with this model here. think of your company like a boat. Yeah, very simple. To move forward, you need 3 sails, right? Working together. You are on the ocean, your boat needs to continue, cannot be stuck or slowing down. However, in earlier stage, most companies are trying to grow with just 1 sail, and that's the problem, because when 1 sail carries everything, friction starts. And the first one is called perception. What I mean with that is that how you are perceived on the market. Because it's very different how you think that you are perceived to what they actually seen on your product, on your business. So users arrive, but they don't immediately understand what this is, who it's for, or why it matters. Sometimes because too much is being said, or sometimes because nothing stands out, or when perception is not clear. Users don't explore, they live. That's the problem. So before you fix growth, you need to fix this 1 cell on how you are perceived. So, and this stage happens on the first stage, because there can be multiple reasons, and I explain it here, very simple. So this is how your brand is perceived in the first 5 seconds. Either they land on your sites, they are trying to familiarize to understand who you are, what you do, what you solve. Users arrive, but they don't, for example, they don't immediately understand, right? They don't understand you. So that's why they leave. Or, for example, you put all your features, everything that you do, and you overload that user with so many options, and that's the main problem. And I've seen that all the time. A list of features. How many bullet points? You explain so many things that you can offer. That's brilliant, but they don't need that. They don't need to be aware of everything that you do. They need to be aware about your main solution, and the smaller that you start, the best. Then generic messaging all the time. You position yourself very generic with a very weak, unique selling proposition. You need to create tension. You need to be more niche. You need to get involved with clients, explaining, yes, we are unique on this market. Not saying that, but giving that perception. And the value is not clear. Yes, the value that you offer is not, you are not being specific, concrete. You need to make sure that the value that they understand that they are buying from your product, it's clearly stated. And the next one is how many times you have seen a website that the action CTA button, in this case, for example, try our demo or try our products, it's in another page on the menu, or perhaps it's not, doesn't create that tension, is very passive, and people question themselves, why should we try something that doesn't create that urgency? So yeah, those are hidden reasons, obviously, that they won't sell you. They just leave. And yeah, this is one of my favorites. One of my favorite quotes, perception is reality. Probably you heard this, who is from Lee Atwater. It's an American political consultant and strategist. He was working for the US government, and he was a strategist. People ignore that. If you ignore that, like, so before fix growth, right, you need to fix how you are perceived. Perception is one of the most important things in positioning your brand, your messaging, everything. So yeah, I also wanted to mention as well that you need to measure your outcomes, and in order to do that, you use data. Data, it's an outcome that can give you what is going on the market. Results can give you information, because to make changes you need information. Information is power. If you don't have information, you cannot make changes. You don't know what is going on the market. So the attraction metric, the message match rates. This is in every stage on your business, like in this one, for example, which is the first sale. You need to use one single metric, the main metric, and then secondary metrics. But this is the most important. On this stage, on the first sale on your boat, yeah, you need to use this one. Is the percentage of visitors who instantly understand your products. So what we got here, it's measured through rapid test, 5-second test, or first impression service, or message recall after 30 seconds. At this stage, I don't look at clicks. I look at understanding, because if users don't understand you, nothing else matters. So the key metric here is how many people land and instantly get it. The message match rate, yeah. So what it is, who it's for, and why they should care. If that number is low, you don't have a growth problem, but a perception problem. Most founders or marketing teams optimize for conversion, but the best ones optimize for understanding the market first. And yeah, as you can see, it's like a progression, right? Because first it comes the perception, then you need to measure that perception, and then you diagnose what is going on and you implement changes. So before going further, now, assuming that now your customers understand you, your products, yeah, but most of them never even see you. That's when it comes the second sale, which is called reach. It's about being seen by the right people and the right moments. How many times have you heard this? On this stage, you are okay, or you may have a problem, a reach problem. Most founders are visible, but very few are seen by the right customer profile. So now, let's talk about reach, because even if your messaging is clear, if the right customers, right, don't see it, right, nothing happens. And this is where most go-to-market strategies break. So let me explain you how it works. So yeah, on this stage, which is actually is distribution strategy. What are you being shown, right? Are you showing up where it matters? Like define your ICP. Is this wrong? Recalibrate it. Always speak in the same language that your ICP is using. If you, for example, imagine that, yes, this is the way that I express myself, and this is the type of language I'm using if I speak Chinese to an audience that speak English. Will they understand you? No. So it's the same. When you speak about your products, make sure that they understand and they're familiar for what you're selling. It's all about communication. If you have communication skills, it's the most powerful skills to have. So yeah, going back to the ICP, think about your customer. Who is your actual customer? Being everyone where they are. Not everywhere in all social media, emails, SEO, no. Places where you think that they're going to be. Look at the early adopters. Who feels the problem now? It's not the same that someone, for example, imagine that you think, oh yes, who feels the problem now? So not everyone in the market is ready. Only a small segment is actively looking, right? And the timing. Why I'm saying this? Because some traffic is just exploring, some it's ready to act, but if you don't understand the difference, you ended up optimizing the wrong audience. And yeah, in relation to the segmentation, this leads to the biggest issue. Everything becomes too broad, too generic, and when that happens, your message reaches people, but not the right ones. So yeah, so the problem is not visibility, it's misaligned reach. So how do we know if your reach is actually working? Yeah, we use, as I said before, in every stage you use a main metric and then secondary metrics. So on the it's all about how efficient you are on the acquisition strategy. So I call it the activation metric, which is, you probably heard about it on this stage. I love this one. CAC is the most popular one that many founders use. And this measures basically how much it costs to acquire a customer. It can be CAC by channel or by segments, or cost per qualified leads, conversion rate per channel, payback periods, and then ask yourself, like, are we attracting the right people? I mean, are they qualified leads, quality leads, or not? Because it's not the same having traffic that having actual quality leads, that they will become your customers. Do they understand our problem that we are solving today? Question yourself twice. And then sometimes when it's a complex product, particularly with SaaS, you need to educate your audience so they understand what you're doing, how different you are, and then they will convert. Because if they don't understand what you're doing, there is no marketing strategy that can activate that. So yeah, do they choose you? Now we need to ask ourselves, do they choose you already? This is where visibility turns into growth. Now we come to the phase of growth, momentum, because having traffic is not the same that having a pipeline. Being understood is not enough. You need to become the default choice, the obvious choice. How do you do that? Well, it takes time. So now comes momentum. Yeah. So what's happening here is that if we already have, I already explained you that we have your boats with the first one, which is perception. Then you need the second one, which is reach. And the third one and last one is called momentum. If the first cell defines how you are perceived, the second determines whether the right users ever see you. And if one cell fails, yeah, the boat doesn't move. You are going to get stuck. You can be clear, you can be seen, but that doesn't mean you'll be chosen, right? And yeah, momentum is the last one, because being clear is not enough, being visible is not enough. It's at some point the market has to choose you. So let me explain you. Right, this is very interesting. I developed this. So let me explain you. Before growing your business, right? Make sure that you cover all these areas. So, growth without a structure. Yes, when there are revenue spikes and there is no consistency, or for example, you have a pipeline, but it's not predictable, yeah? Then you have not repeatable acquisition, yeah? Let me tell you something. What worked once can be replicated. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And if you don't have, for example, a clear path from leads, right, that goes to revenue, it's very hard. Then this stage, the weak conversion layer. How many times have you seen this? Interest doesn't turn into buying decisions. Having interest in your product is not enough. That's an indicator that you're going on the right path, but it doesn't translate into sales. And the next one is the long sales cycles without having clarity. As you know, a buying decision is very long process sometimes, so it takes time. That's why if you have the right structure from the very beginning, you avoid costly mistakes and wasting your time. The turn. How many times have you seen that you have your SaaS business, you are on the onboarding stage, but something happens, the interest drops, they sign up and they abandon your products. Why? Because there is not a visible progression for them to have that loyalty. And I've seen that with many founders, you need to clearly state that there is a progression. I'm not saying just numbers to show the numbers. You need more than that. So yeah, you need to reinforce the value post-acquisition. And the last one is the expansion without validating the product and market, because scaling change before proving them, right? Increasing the spends without improving the outcome, that's not efficient. So yeah, it's very important that you understand this, because before scaling, because you need to know what actually works. So so how do we actually measure real growth? Right. The last stage is the accumulation metric. Is the net revenue retention. Again, on this stage, on the momentum one, you use the main one. And I've been using it with founders. It's the most important one, and then you use more, but this is the most important, the one that you need to focus all your energy. Because revenue retained from existing customers over time, this is what it is. It's including expansion and churn. So how do we actually measure growth, right? It's not traffic, it's not leads, not even acquisition, right? We measure what stays, the loyalty. More importantly, what grows over time. That's why we looked at this metric, because it tells you one thing: are we actually building something that compounds? Because if customers leave or don't expand, you don't have growth, you have a leakage, and we don't want that. So real growth doesn't restart every month, right? It builds, it's accumulative. So yeah. So on the next stage to measure that, look at the data with metrics: net revenue retention, churn rates, expansion revenue, customer lifetime value, LTV, CAC, payback periods, and question yourself: do customers actually get value or just sign up? Because that's totally different. Are they growing with the product or replacing it? Are they abandoning my product or not? Does the product become part of the workflow? Without those questions, it's very hard. And yeah, this is the practical part, because a framework is not enough. Yeah, you need a way to apply it, to prioritize, to decide, and to execute to have success. So yeah, growth is not a traffic problem, it's a perception problem, a reach problem, or a momentum problem. So in order to make it more simple for you, I use a spreadsheet all the time. When I'm on the positioning stage, when I'm on the go-to-market stage, and when I'm on the retention stage. It depends when it's a early products, or it's launching the products on the markets, or they want to grow, they want to expand, and then they want to keep loyalty after the growing phase. So okay, so on the perception, what we got here, on the perception phase is where you need to have clarity on the positioning, and question yourself, like, do my users actually understand what I'm offering? The value, can they get it, that they are buying value? Then we analyze here. So we analyze the messaging, homepage, sites, value proposition, all those things in all our channels, sites, social media, everywhere that you are. And then we make decisions whether to simplify it or simplify the message, or perhaps we need to implement changes to reduce the noise so they don't get confused. And yeah, so this has high impacts. It's low effort, but it's high impacts, and it's a priority. The next one is to make sure that you have an ICP clearly defined. Make sure that you know that you are speaking to the right audience. Analyze the target segments and actually the actual users, because those concepts are different. If you need to make changes or reposition your brand, you may need to recalibrate your ICP. And again, this is high impact, medium effort, but it's still a priority. And then the second cell of your boat is reach, distribution. So here on this stage, you look at how effective is the channel that I'm using, because you need to analyze CAC by channel, conversion by source, and perhaps you need to double down on signal, cut noise, and yeah, high impact, medium efforts. Use this spreadsheet so you put here what you want to, after the action that you made, look at the results. Reach early adopters. Are we reaching people? Are we reaching people with a problem, high intent? We want quality leads. Without it, it's very hard. You need to make sure that there is a high intent. Adjusting targeting. That sometimes it's important, because if you're not attracting quality leads, your conversion is going to be very slow. And your pipeline is not going to grow enough. And then reach distribution gaps. Look at those gaps, invisible gaps. Where are we invisible to our targets? Yeah. Look at the channel presence and the behavior of your audience. And then expand into relevant channels. Yeah. And the last cell of your boat is momentum, retention. Keep that loyalty. Once that you grow, right? Or maybe you want to expand to new markets, new category, or you want to, your company is already established and you want to keep that loyalty in order to keep growing as well, right? So look at how efficient is the conversion. Are users turning into customers, or is just interest? Look at the funnel conversion rates and optimize funnels. This is high impact, of course. And then the retention churn. Do customers stay or leave? Look at the churn rates. And this is very common in SaaS, because what happens is that sometimes it's very simple thing that you need on, for example, talking about your website, your platform. They are using the platform, your SaaS business, right? They sign up, they're very happy, but after a while they're waiting for example, imagine that you have a warm email platform for users, right? So you need to, that it's a business time model, which means that they need to wait quite a long journey to get results. Those users, if they don't see a progression, they will leave. That's why high churn rates are one of the highest in this type of models, business models, because many SaaS founders forget to implement this type of micro changes that could make a significant change to keep that loyalty. Then revenue expansion, right? Do customers grow with the products? Yeah, so here's when you need to do upselling or expand their revenue. And yeah, of course, high impacts, medium efforts. And then the last one, make sure that you can predict and is repeatable your pipeline. I mean, are they repeating purchases? Are they not? Because your pipeline needs to be repeatable. If there is no repeatability, it's hard. It's technically impossible to grow a business where you cannot predict your pipeline. Does your pipeline follow does the revenue follow your pipeline? And yeah, so this is a very useful spreadsheet that I use all the time. You can use it yourself. You can, if you want, you can contact me and I can give you these templates. So you can add your own columns. And yeah, so now comes the experimentation stage, is the hypothesis. Because if we fix a go-to-market gap, right, a specific problem, for example, recalibrating the ICP, where you are using a language like you are using the pain points of that ICP, we expect X or Y, an outcome, and you need to be able to use metrics and measure that, because data is information. Test it, channels, implement changes, target segments, and with a time frame. Not too short, not too long, the right timing. And look at the results with the information, with the data. What changed? What didn't? And then the insights. What did we actually learn about the markets? And once that you identify the gap, you don't guess, you test it. Yeah, every test is tied to a specific hypothesis. And then once that you identify the gap, yeah, now is when you realize that you need the system, yeah, in order to have a repeatable revenue, right? So one result is luck, yeah? A repeatable pattern is growth. So look at the patterns across a successful test, what consistently drives results, what doesn't scale, and what should we standardize. So yeah, of course. So think of this as a system. Yeah, 3 cells on a boat, which is your product. Yeah, working together. They are connected. Yeah, perception defines how the market sees you. Reach determines who actually sees you. And then momentum decides whether they choose you and stay. So important things to remember when growth becomes inconsistent, it's when pipeline is unpredictable, when retention drops. If one cell, right, is broken, friction happens. Yeah? So perception, reach, momentum, your boats, all needs to be aligned. If one cell fails, growth slows down. If 2 fails, growth stops. Connected, a system. And yeah, well, fix the right cell and growth follows. This is my website. You can visit at any time. You can contact me with questions. Otherwise, you can find me on LinkedIn. I work with startups, B2B SaaS teams or founders, small businesses, medium size, big size, and yeah. So visit my websites. You can also download my white paper if you want to learn more about what I do. After all my research for the last 14 years, when I was a marketing manager, working in the UK and in the US, it's just a practical breakdown of how to identify and fix the GTN risk. So tell me about what you're working on at the moment, and because I'm very curious to know what you are seeing in your go-to-market strategy. Let's grow your business. Thank you.